Trey with Fandango.
Trey, hey, how are you, man?
Hi,
Rinko,
Trey.
nice to
Nice to
meet
meet
you.
you.
Monsters versus robots, nice and grounded in reality. How do you prepare for a role like this, especially given the size and scope of the film?
I've been training, for like a weightlifting and swimming and running, boot camp, something like that. I never done this before, but
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. It's a very, very physical film, and both of our roles, we play a team that pilot these robots, and it was incredibly physically demanding for both of us. There was a lot of physical preparation, and then Guillermo, which is why I wanted to do this movie, I'm sure why we both wanted to do it, is Guillermo, even in a world like this, is going to tell the story as though it is actually existing, happening in real time. And so it wasn't, there's a huge suspension of disbelief, obviously, when you're dealing with giant robots and monsters, but in terms of the emotional arc of the characters, they were very much grounded in the real world and stuff that's relatable to everyone and easily kind of accessible, so kind of just the same process that you always go through putting a character together.
There's a great picture of the two of you standing in front of this massive robot. I'm just curious, how much of the reality was Guillermo able to create, and how much was special effects for you guys?
The actual process of shooting the con part, we are basically in the helmet of one of these robots, and that was completely practical.
Yeah.
It was a completely practical set. It was on what they call a gimbal, which is a platform that can move every which way and vibrate and go up and down.
it feels real. Huh?
Yeah,
When we are, there.
And Guillermo likes to shoot as much as possible, real world, actual physical sets. So, the other directors, there's a sequence that involves a lot of water, and other directors would have just CGI'd the water, but instead Guillermo thought it would be a good idea to dump 250 gallons of freezing cold water a minute on us for 7 days, 16 hours a day. So, there's good and bad with shooting practically.
Well, the sacrifice
It does create much more of a real environment for you to play in, which I was really grateful for.
as opposed to a green screen and a tennis ball and to say, look at this dot.
Yes.
Right, and having to invent it all, the more you can do in the real world, the more the actor has to draw from, and the less you have to act. You can just be.
And were you fans of these kaiju monster movies growing up?
Yeah, when I was a little girl, I used to watch a lot of like a kaiju or monsters movie because I'm Japanese, so yeah.
Are those films like really big in Japan?
Yeah, and then now I got this role, just like it's like a dream come true,
And to get to work with me is kind of like a dream come true,
Yes,
right?
yeah, of
Right.
course, sure.
Sure. Sorry, no. Let me pass the baton back. Okay, thanks.
Is the story kind of sounds like it's kind of a Rocky type of thing, You're bringing back somebody that was kind of tossed away, and now you're basically fighting the good fight.
Yeah, I mean, the audience gets introduced into the film, through my character, and he's a guy who is one of these elite soldiers that pilots the robots, and he's dealt with a huge tragedy, which is not only really killed his fight, but also completely eviscerated his belief in himself. And so he kind of gets dragged reluctantly out of retirement to participate in this kind of final push at the 11th hour. And through meeting Rinko's character, kind of finds some kind of desire to live again.
Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.